Hey everybody, and welcome to Backseat Sports. I'm Josh and that is Caleb, and today we are talking about Nebraska versus Purdue, Nebraska versus Wisconsin, and a little bit of news involving Tyjon Lindsey. Okay, so a lot to talk about today. It's going to be a good one. I hope you enjoy it. Caleb, what do you got to say for yourself?
All righty. Well, the Purdue matchup. What a great game, said no Husker fan. There's actually some positives to take away instead of the Michigan drubbing. Like, I saw some good things. I saw Martinez.
Yeah, that was the best thing.
Yeah, Martinez, again, really showed how great he can be. He made just some amazing passes, especially the second touchdown to Spielman, just right in the corner, only place you could put it. This is a gorgeous throw. So, there were some good things. Devino Zigbo finally got to be the main featured back because he had such a great week. And just what a stud Devino Zigbo is. Let's just give him a solid second, because this is a guy that's been buried on the depth chart by Mike Riley multiple times.
His whole career.
Yeah, his whole career he's just been buried on the depth chart, kind of forgotten, and he's battled to be the best back, and he even molded and changed himself, and he was one super excited about.
You can tell he put a lot of work in this offseason to change his body and make himself more athletic and more powerful and faster, because he looked like a different athlete in this game. That's for sure.
Yeah,
he looked great.
Yeah, he's always been that strong, tough back who's been able to, break a tackle. But, man, he showed some speed, especially on some of those stretch plays. And, obviously, he kind of didn't have that final gear to get him into the end zone as much, except on the shorter ones. And we saw two, 18-yard and a 23-yard touchdown. So that's just really exciting to see from him. Spielman looked great. He got the targets that I think he needed to win games.
He finally needed? Yes, exactly.
He had 10 receptions. Finally, two touchdowns. Like, that's what you need from a guy like that. And Stanley Morgan got, I think he had 6 receptions. So
4.
Well, he had 4. So
yeah. But we targeted him a handful of times,
yeah.
so I was okay with it. Again, Mo Berry defensively showed that he's still a beast, and he's going to be fantastic this season and the next. He's going to be a great piece for Nebraska. There's been a lot of positives to take away from the game. There obviously are a handful of critiques.
Yeah.
Martinez has flashes of brilliance, and then still often shows his freshman colors.
Yeah.
There were multiple times where he dropped his hands and his eyes and turned to run when there really wasn't pressure in the pocket yet. He looked to run before he had to. I mean, that's just a freshman thing, especially for the guy like him who's extremely athletic. He can use his legs, but he needs to learn to stay in the pocket just a little bit longer and learn to extend that play for as long as he can to give him a chance to make those plays, and use his athleticism in the long term. So that's something to look for in the future for sure. Again, Zigbo looks like the best he could be so right now at this point, and he looks like the best back by far on the team. It's going to be really interesting to see what our offense looks like moving forward. I mean, we're going to talk about Wisconsin here in a second, but that's what I'm really interested to see, is if our offense can move the ball against an elite defense. That's just going to be really interesting to see for me.
I think another person on defense that I was actually really impressed with was DiCaprio Boodle. He really stepped up. He hadn't allowed any receptions. But, some of those plays were kind of questionable of whether it was pass or interference or not. And this game, we really showed it. And not only by his coverage, he would also, our safeties played horrible, I felt, during the Purdue game. And he was flying across the field on the other side to get to the other side of the ball. He was making tackles on wide receivers that weren't his, and the running backs. He was really all over the field, and I was really impressed with him. He looked like he was working the hardest on the secondary for sure, and that's why he's earned that black shirt, because his effort is just there. Whether or not he has all the skills, which he definitely does, he does have some very good pass coverage skills. Just seeing that effort that he had. I also, Lamar Jackson got benched that game. That was pretty interesting. Scott Frost said he was sick of the people who weren't giving it their all, their hardest, doing the little things right. I think that was probably the best press conference off a loss that I've ever had.
Good.
It was a lot of things that we had harped on in the last video, honestly. A lot of the things that we had said.
Frost just, again, we've heard it. The storyline for basically all of Nebraska football this season has been mistakes, personal mistakes, fouls. Penalties and turnovers have been the biggest problem for Nebraska, and they came and killed us again in this game. We turned the ball over once. We lost the turnover battle. We had a forced interception called back off a penalty. So, again, we were 0-3 on 4th down. And like say Martinez missed a handful of like easy screen passes, some very simple throws that he's got to hit. There's just been mistakes all over the field. And again, Frost has been hammering it in the press conferences. I'm sure he's trying to take care of it in practice. But those mistakes are something that has to be fixed if we want to have any chance in these games.
He said we're one of the most undisciplined teams in the country, and it's felt that way for a long time, even under Bo.
For sure.
We're always in there at some of the most penalties in the whole country. And, we're last in the Big Ten in so many stats, yards given up, pass given up, so many things that need to be fixed.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons why I thought our team was going to be so good this year is because the things that Scott Frost was preaching, all the team was going to buy into right away. And why wouldn't you? Because, he's won and he's been successful. He's from Nebraska. He knows how this works. I thought this process was going to be, it wasn't going to be easy.
A lot simpler.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, through practice and his discipline, like kind of beat it into the players, right, and kind of get out the cruddy stuff. But it's actually taken these losses. So
in the Monday presser, Frost said that he was going to ride with the guys who he trusts and who will do it the right way. And he had like really high praise for Eric Lee. And he said Eric Lee's done everything right. And he was really excited about Eric Lee. Another thing he says that Bell and Washington had their best practices of the season on Monday, which is good to hear. I mean, they need it. That's important for them. And, I mean, it'd be good to have a great running back committee with 3 fantastic guys, and that's what we're hoping for down the road. So, and then the other interesting thing that he said on Sunday was that 4 captains came into the office and asked him what needed to be done to get this thing turned around, which is really cool to hear that the Nebraska players themselves are taking initiative and trying to do things to get this ship turned around and win some games, because that's what we all want, and at the end of the day, that's what we all need to catapult this program forward.
Winning and losing is both equally contagious.
For sure.
And Nebraska's been in a giant rut. And I was thinking about this earlier, Josh. I got a question for you. So, how many wins do you think, if we had Mike Riley again this season, do you think we'd have this year?
At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because you would have been fired anyway. So
no, I mean,
I don't know.
I just thought that was an interesting thing. If I was gonna put the lens, obviously I believe that Scott Frost is the guy. If
Scott Frost 1,000 out of 1,000.
Oh, 1,000 out of 1,000 times. And I think Mike Riley's a horrible coach. He was a horrible hire, and he's done some awful things in Nebraska. The whole Calabraska movement, almost every one of those guys is not playing.
It's dead. It's literally dead.
And
that's what we'll talk about right now. We'll talk about Tyjon Lindsey.
All right, let's jump into Tyjon Lindsey.
So Tyjon Lindsey asked for departure from the team, and he was granted his departure from the team. So he is no longer a Cornhusker. Scott Frost didn't mention it on Sunday because I don't think he knew about it at that point. But on Monday, Troy Walters' press conference, he said Lindsey left because he wasn't happy with the reps he was getting. In practice last week, Cade Warner got all of the snaps almost because of injuries. Cade Warner shined during last week's practice, and Walters said that Warner basically made amazing plays every single practice, and he deserved playing time. And because of how well he practiced, they put him out on the field, and Lindsey basically didn't see the field at all. So that pissed off Lindsey. He wanted to quit. He wanted to get off the team, wanted to find a new place. So we wish him the best of luck, but in my personal opinion, Nebraska's better off without him at this point. Congrats. Go find some place to play. But
go play with Mike
Nebraska's about winners and guys who are going to persevere through the tough times, and apparently all of the Calabraska kids weren't about that. They weren't about doing that.
It was about
and they wanted to find the easiest way out.
Yep.
Yeah. And so at this point, good riddance. Good riddance. Best of luck to where you go, but go Big Red moving forward, and I wholeheartedly believe in where Nebraska will be in the next few years.
Yeah, Kurt Warner tweeted out, putting your head down and doing your job and being ready. Yep. And that was really awesome. I mean, that's the truth, I think Troy Walters and
Warner would know best.
Yeah, exactly. Troy Walters in his press conference said, you got to practice like you're ready to go 80 snaps no matter where you are in the depth chart. And, you practice how you play. And that's so true. In any sport, in anything you do, you practice how you play. And, so if you're giving up, you're angry and upset, and instead of, working harder, you're getting angry. And I don't know, Tyjon Lindsey, he was never that impressive to me. His name was impressive, but the body of work that he had showed on the field wasn't really. He really couldn't create separation. He wasn't all that strong. He wasn't as fast as they said he was. Unlike Spielman, who is just another worldly talent, man. He is so good.
7 out of the 8 top recruits from the 2017 recruiting class are not on the team anymore. So it shows towards our lack of depth for the roster. I mean, we're basically missing over half of a recruiting class for the most part. So it shows on our roster. It shows the weaknesses on our team, and we have a lot of new guys on this team. So there's a lot of reasons why we are where we are right now. We can make excuses, but that is a factor that plays into where we are right now.
And obviously, Scott Frost and all those guys were really disappointed on where our weight program was and how conditioned guys were. So that has a factor of it too. We were talking about how much time in 3 years for those guys that came in, like, in Ozigbo's recruiting class. How far behind are you getting behind other programs by the bad weight practices?
Every single day, your weight.
Yeah,
exactly. If every single day your weight training and your training in general is worse than Wisconsin's, that means our senior class of guys who have been training for 2 or 3 years under Mike Riley have lost 2 or 3 years worth of training in comparison to Wisconsin, or at least gotten that far behind in their training to Wisconsin. So that's the problem. That's where it is right now, and Scott Frost is having to deal with those issues.
Yeah, there's a lot of dirt and clutter that has to be cleaned up. And it's frustrating, and I'm sure it's got to be extremely frustrating for them. I'd rather be worse, but with people who are trying their hardest, to make it better, and
who guys who are actually going to improve over time.
Exactly, because if they're going to be putting in the work and then they're putting in game day situations, they're going to get better than those people who started off, with the talent.
With that said, we can probably transfer over to Wisconsin. Our focus on this weekend, it's going to be a tough one, to say the least, for Nebraska. I mean, we saw what a great team like Michigan did to us, and Wisconsin's a great team as well, with a lot going for them. They did struggle a little bit 2 weeks ago in Iowa. Iowa took them to the wire. They were down by 3 to Iowa with a minute to go. It's not like Wisconsin's invincible. They've already lost to BYU this season. They have some weaknesses, but it's not going to be easy beating Wisconsin in Madison. At all. It's not going to be easy at all for the team.
Nebraska has not shown that it can create turnovers, although we did have that one pick that was taken away by a holding call on DiCaprio Boodle, which was on the other side of the field. Just pretty silly last week. That was just...
Do you know what the spread is?
I do not know what the spread is.
Ooh, you don't?
No. Oh, yeah, wait, it was...
Want to guess?
Wasn't it like 23.5?
It's currently 19.
Oh, okay, so it went down. I remember that's what it was at the beginning of the week. But glad it went down a little bit. But
So it's a 19-point spread with the over-under at 57.5.
Man.
Oh, man. That means they are expecting Wisconsin to score a lot of points.
They're going to be able to rush on us, and that's a fact. I was really upset. One thing that really did frustrate me, this last week was Purdue scored on the same kind of run play that Michigan used, and they used that same, blocking scheme, and they attacked it, and they were able to score a big touchdown off of it. With Wisconsin having as big and good of a line as they always do, how much pressure are going to be able to create with only 3 guys and our 4 linebackers, and how creative are you going to be able to get? It's a big challenge for our defensive line, and they're going to have to really come in with a mentality that we're underdogs, and they're going to really have to step up and put in a ton of effort.
No, I mean, we didn't get much pressure at all against Purdue, which was a little worrying. They're going to be able to protect Hornibrook, and I'm worried that Hornibrook's going to have all day to throw the ball, and more than likely what's going to happen is we're going to have to blitz to get pressure, and so it's going to come down to our secondary to be able to win the one-on-one battles on the outside. So there's going to be a lot of issues there, and Wisconsin's going to stretch our defense and put us into a lot of tough situations. You're going to have to watch for that every single play during the game.
And another thing is Purdue killed us with the tight ends, and Wisconsin loves their tight ends. We absolutely blew coverage multiple times, absolutely forgot about the tight end.
At the end of the day, it's going to be extremely difficult. I mean, Wisconsin's inside backers are insane. They're so good. Their linebacking core is one of the deepest in the country. Jonathan Taylor is one of the most efficient runners in the country. He's right now 6th in the betting odds for the Heisman. He's averaging 6.2 a carry, 5 touchdowns, over 600 yards. He's been fantastic. A.J. Taylor is their biggest wide receiver threat. So everyone on our defense is going to be tested this weekend. I would say that their secondary is their weakest point of their defense. Obviously, it's still very good, but Iowa was able to create some plays downfield, specifically with their usage of their tight ends. So it's going to be interesting to see how we can open up holes in that defense. Hopefully our play action is pretty effective, which means we need to be able to run the ball a little bit to be effective in the play action. Again, there's a lot that has to come together for us to be productive and be a threat to Wisconsin, but I'm not going to rule it out. I can't rule it out because I'd love to see our offense get some work in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested to see. I mean, Ozigbo is such a strong, good back. It'll be really interesting to see. I hope he can eat it up against those guys a little bit. It's gonna be tough.
I'm not betting on it,
especially with our O-line. They're gonna have to step it up. Like I said, they're gonna have to win the fights. They're gonna have to win some fights in the trenches to open up some holes to get him.
Oh yeah,
to get him some space.
For sure. What do you think is the score prediction for the game?
Do I think we have a better than 4% chance to beat them, as ESPN says?
ESPN gives us a 5.2% chance.
Yeah, I think we have a little bit more.
Give us 10.
I'd give us 10. 1 out of 10 times we could beat Wisconsin. I think we lose 35-27.
Oh, that's competitive.
It's deceivingly competitive. I think we score like a touchdown late.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's not going to be an easy game. I don't think Nebraska's going to win it. In Wisconsin, there's a lot going for Wisconsin right now. They can't lose a game like this. If they lose this game,
they're out.
It basically ruins their season. It completely ruins their season. They can't lose. Wisconsin's probably going to win 38-20. It's not going to be a pretty game for Nebraska, but hopefully we can see some progress. I mean, if our offense can put up 20 or 21 points against Wisconsin's elite defense, I won't be disappointed with that. And that was another thing that I wanted to mention, was that it's crazy that we are where we are when it comes to Wisconsin. I mean, on Rivals.com, Wisconsin hasn't out-recruited us the past 8 years. We have out-recruited Wisconsin for the past 8 consecutive years. Some of those have been by over 10 spots on Rivals rankings. So Rivals thinks that our team's talent should be superior to Wisconsin's, but it shows that we're 0-4. It kind of shows the pain that Mike Riley's put us through. Obviously, like we said, I mean, 7 of our 8 2017 recruits aren't even on the team anymore, so you can't even really count that year as a good recruiting class at all. But nonetheless, that doesn't have much to do with this game, but just in general, something to look forward to in the future, see where our recruiting classes end up. But it's probably not going to be an easy week for Nebraska, and it's going to be, but I'm still going to have a lot of fun watching it, to say the least.
Like I said, I think our offense is going to show some flashes of brilliance. If our defense, like I said, if we can make any sort of stride to show that we can stop, at some point, if we can get a sack.
Like if we could keep Wisconsin under 30 points.
Yeah.
Like that would be so nice.
We love to hear what you guys had to say. What's going to happen in the Wisconsin game? How'd you feel about the Purdue game? Are you still really down about it? Did you think that you saw some positives? Who are some more players that you really liked and that you were impressed with? How you feel about Tyjon Lindsey and the exodus of the Calabrasca players? We love to know what you have to say. Like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. As always, I'm Caleb. He's Josh. This has been Backseat Sports, and we'll see you next video.
See ya. Guys in the team that aren't bought in. In Frost's interview, he was asked, who are some guys that you would say are bought in and are ready to play, are guys that love football and are going to go out there and battle, is what they were saying. And the 3 guys that he brought up were kind of the 3 guys that we talked about in the past.